Okay, it is 9:02, so let's get started today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Washington Region Vision Zero Summit. My name is Stephanie Telowetsky, and I'm the Vision Zero Coalition Manager at Washington Area Bicyclist Association. WABA staff and myself are so happy to see you all and are looking forward to a great day together. First slide. Is the slide working?
Hey, Stephanie, could whoever's the host enable participants to share their screen? Apologies. And by participants, I mean panelists.
Sorry about that, y'all. Thanks for the patience. Great. So first, I'd like to acknowledge the DC, Southern Maryland, and Northern Virginia area the WABA focuses on, also known as Nacotchtank, Anacostan, Piscataway, Patuxent, Susquehannock, Manahoac, Massawomack, Doeg, and Shawandassi-Tula lands. Check native-land.ca to learn more about the original stewards of the land you're currently on. I'd like to take the next few minutes to highlight why we're here today. This is the 6th time the WABA has put on a Vision Zero Summit, and this is the 3rd summit in a row that's being held mostly virtually. This year, we're excited to include an in-person component for those of us who are ready to gather in person, but we also wanted to make sure the majority of today's content was accessible for those who may be immunocompromised, busy in the evenings, or not in the immediate Washington region. Vision Zero is a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, equitable mobility for all. In 2015, Mayor Bowser committed DC to reaching Vision Zero by the year 2024. Unfortunately, the number of traffic deaths has actually been increasing in the district since 2015, with 40 people killed last year, the city's highest total traffic deaths in over a decade. Virginia and Maryland haven't done much better and are continuing to see traffic fatalities statewide. As we begin this important day together, I would like to invite you to take a moment with me to center ourselves on our purpose for the day and to focus on who we are working for. Can I get the next slide, Garrett? We are honored to reflect upon and celebrate the lives of all victims of traffic violence. As today is September 13th, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Allison Hart, or Allie as she was known to many, who was killed in a crash 1 year ago today. May we find renewed motivation and purpose for our work through Allie's and so many others' stories. Allie was struck and killed by the driver of a passenger transport van as she rode her bike in a crosswalk on September 13th, 2021, and died at the scene. The crash occurred close to Allie's home in the Brookland neighborhood in Northeast DC at a 4-way stop in a school zone. She was 5 years old. She should be 6. Allie is often remembered as being traffic violence victim number 28 in 2021. Her devoted parents describe her as so much more: joyful, loving, kind, curious, thoughtful, brave, and funny, with a 5-year-old's keen sense of fairness and justice. She had just started kindergarten. She was flourishing with new experiences, friends, and discoveries. Allie's story is one of tens of thousands of fatal traffic crashes in the US just last year. Most of us have a direct connection to traffic violence or know someone who does. Our mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, spouses and partners, cousins, so many lives destroyed by predictable and preventable traffic crashes, representing a long-standing public health crisis in our country. Over the course of the day, you will have rich opportunities to engage with your peers and your professional community in our region. We are leaders, subject matter experts, decision makers. Our work contributes to safe streets, and our cooperation and collaboration are key to changing transportation design, operation, and culture. On behalf of the Hart family, we invite you to join us in a moment of silence to focus on Allie Hart and the others who have died as a result of violence on our streets. Nina, Caden, Michael, Sarah, Zaire, and too many others. They are who we are working for. We are here today because we know that we can and we must do better. I'll put 60 seconds on a timer, starting now. Thank you for being here, for being present, and for being thoughtful and caring about how you use your power, your influence, and the decisions you make day in and day out to make our streets safe for all users. Next, I'd love to highlight some of the projects the WABA is working on right now that aim to make streets safer. An exciting project the WABA is doing in collaboration with Safe Routes Partnership and Howard University's Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering is the Youth-Centered Near Miss Crash Reporting Tool. We'll be designing a youth-centered crash tracker after choosing a busy intersection in Washington, D.C. in wards 7 or 8 near a middle or high school, collaborating with students and parents on the design, and testing the tracker with school administrators. Every child should be able to get to and from school safely, and we hope that being able to track where crashes are happening will help us be able to address them. Our goal is to host our big collaboration event with teachers, parents, and students early next year. We're able to do this project thanks to funding from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration via the National Safety Council's Road to Zero grant, which funds projects, programs, and research that help achieve the mission of zero traffic deaths. Next slide. To wrap up this year's summit, we'll be having 2 post-summit community conversations between now and the end of the month. The first one will be next week on Wednesday, September 21st from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and will be via Zoom. And the second will be in person at Benning Library on Thursday, September 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. During those sessions, we'll be sharing out key themes from today and continuing the conversations, along with discussing anything we may have missed this year that we'll want to include in next year's summit. And of course, we'll be having another Vision Zero Summit next year in June 2023, thanks to us being awarded another HSO grant from DDOT. Next slide. Now, for today's agenda and some logistics info. In just a few minutes, we'll hear from Linda Bailey from the District Department of Transportation, and then I'll be introducing our first keynote of the day, documentary filmmaker Jennifer Boyd. She and I will be discussing her film, The Street Project, a documentary that came out just last month on the massive international movement to turn public streets into safe spaces for all, and we'll be watching a few clips together. We'll share the link for each clip via the chat, watch them on our own devices, and come back together to discuss. Then we'll have our Safe Street Design panel from 10:40 to 11:40 with Cheryl Court, Policy Director for Coalition for Smarter Growth, Sonia Brehe from Fairfax Families for Safe Streets and Coalition for Smarter Growth, and Jennifer Cooper, Steering Committee Member of DC Families for Safe Streets. They'll be discussing how new thinking and practical constraints require revisions to urban street design standards to ensure street designs include safe bike and walking facilities. They'll also discuss how to prioritize the most vulnerable people on our streets to ensure we reach Vision Zero. Next slide. After that, we'll have 2 breakout sessions to choose from during the 11:50 to 12:50 slot. One is a transportation journalism panel with Kia Wilson, senior editor, Streets Blog USA, Jordan Pascal, transportation reporter with WAMU, and Scott Broadbeck, founder and CEO of Local News Now. The panelists will speak to how government agencies, advocates, and residents can collaborate with transportation journalists, and you'll get an opportunity to ask questions to our seasoned panelists. The panelists will also discuss how they make coverage decisions and challenges to covering crashes and Vision Zero. The other session happening during that time is a systemic safety analysis presentation from Jessie McGowan, multimodal transportation planner coordinator with the Montgomery County Planning Department. She will be discussing Montgomery Planning's new strategy to improve road safety for drivers, bicyclists, and pedestrians called the Predictive Safety Analysis. It is a proactive, data-driven approach that works to prevent severe and fatal crashes before they happen. This will be a technical presentation focused on a statistical analysis and its applications. This presentation will be most useful to data-focused agency staff, consultants, and advocates. Next slide. Next, we will have 2 lunchtime breakouts to choose from. One will be about applying for Safe Streets funding opportunities with Tiffany Smith, program manager at Vision Zero Network. This presentation will offer tips and key takeaways on how advocates and government agencies can use federal funding to integrate safe system approaches. The second happening during that time will be about Mobility Next. What's next for National Landing's planned People First transportation infrastructure with Rob Mandel from the National Landing bid. It will present the story of how National Landing's $4 billion portfolio of transportation projects will transform the public realm into one of the most well-connected intermodal downtowns in the city or in Virginia and the country. The audience will learn about the projects underway in National Landing, what it takes to become the most connected downtown in the country, and learn the importance of keeping Vision Zero principles in the forefront of the planning process. Another important note about lunch, it's on us today. This morning, you should have received a link to an Uber Eats voucher. You'll be able to spend up to $25 with it. A small token of appreciation from us for deciding to spend the day with us. Next slide. After lunch, from 1:40 to 2:40, we'll have, once again, 2 sessions to choose from. One is a data mapping panel featuring Andrea Lasker, the Vision Zero coordinator for Prince George's County, and Mike Doyle, founder of Northern Virginia Families for Safe Streets. These panelists will discuss how mapping and data visualization is the key to telling the story of Vision Zero and how to use near, miss, and dangerous location surveys for street safety advocacy with policymakers, complete street planners, and law enforcement. We'll also hear from building coalitions with People Before Cars panel at that time, including Jillian Burgess from People Before Cars Coalition, Malika Scriven from National Landing Bid, and Sonia Brehe from Fairfax Families for Safe Streets and Coalition for Smarter Growth, with moderator Jeremiah Lowry from Washington Area Bicyclist Association. This panel explores how bids and place management organizations can collaborate with community stakeholders to garner support for big ideas that diverge from antiquated vehicle-centered practices. Through advocacy, campaigns, storytelling, and collaboration, bids can help harness the power of shared interests to build coalitions and champion major capital projects. This session will explore the People Before Cars coalition model and lessons learned to deliver a shared vision of people-centered mobility with National Landing. Next slide. Great. From 2:50 to 3:50, we'll hear from 3 panelists working to identify and correct disparities in bus service during the Getting to Good, building a regional bus system that works for marginalized and underserved communities panel. It will be moderated by Ron Thompson, Transportation Equity Network organizer for Greater Washington, and will consist of Faith Walker, Executive Director from RVA Rapid Transit, Jane Lyons, the Maryland Advocacy Manager for Coalition for Smarter Growth, and Max Richmond, Ward 7 representative to the DC Bicyclist Advisory Council. Our final Zoom session for the day will be from 4 to 5 p.m., where we'll hear from our afternoon keynote speaker, Jesse Singer, journalist and author of There Are No Accidents, The Deadly Rise of Injury and Disaster, Who Profits and Who Pays the Price. We'll also have a few details and reminders to share out about our evening gathering tonight. Next slide. We'll be holding folks to WABA's event participation standards today, so I'd like to take the next few minutes to talk y'all through the code of conduct, which can be found at waba.org/code. Can someone put that link in the chat for me? waba.org/code. Perfect. WABA's first priority is to provide a fun, inclusive, and safe environment for all participants. We believe the part of building that space is acknowledging our diverse experiences, treating one another with respect and kindness, and adjusting our behavior if, despite our best intentions, we harm someone. That's what the 5 acknowledgements and agreements that make up our code of conduct ask of us. We hope that the code provides context and vocabulary for you, WABA staff, volunteers, members, and other event participants to have conversations about how we treat each other. As a member of the WABA community, I commit to the following whenever I'm in a WABA space. I acknowledge that I exist in a society built on unequal and unjust power structures. I agree that I have a responsibility to interrogate my privileges and use my power to help make WABA spaces increasingly safe, inclusive, and supportive for everyone. I acknowledge the WABA has a zero tolerance policy for racist behavior, sexual harassment, physical or verbal abuse, microaggressions, tokenism, and all other harmful actions. I agree that these actions have no place in a supportive, inclusive community, and to make it a priority to never harm another person in any of these ways. Next slide. I acknowledge that my behavior, not my intentions, is what affects the people around me, and that it is possible to harass or otherwise harm others, even when I don't mean to. I agree to be respectful, kind, compassionate, and supportive to those around me in both word and in action. And if someone lets me know that my behavior is harmful, to immediately adjust that behavior with the goal of preventing future harm. I acknowledge that the work of mitigating the harmful effects of unjust power structures is never done. I agree to take on the responsibility of speaking out against instances of racism, sexism, ableism, and other discrimination or manifestations of prejudice whenever I have the power to do so. Next slide. I acknowledge that if I cannot adjust a behavior that is harming other community members, it makes sense for WABA staff to ask me to leave the community space. I agree that if WABA staff asks me to leave a WABA space because of a code of conduct violation, I will do so. If you experience a code of conduct violation at the hands of another participant, staff member, or volunteer, or witness unjust behaviors by another individual, please notify a WABA staff member. Thanks everyone for showing up today. I'm very much looking forward to having a great day together. Now, I'd love to pass the mic over to Linda Bailey, Vision Zero Director at DDOT.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. I'm really happy to see everyone virtually, of course. You know, Vision Zero, this is a major priority of the Mayor Bowser. Yeah, go ahead, Garrett. A major priority of the Bowser administration, and we've been working hard at it for a long time now. And I think that when I'm at an event like this, and I see all the people on the line, and I see the strength of the passion and the emotion behind it, I know that even though it's a very challenging space to work in, we will ultimately reach our goal. I want to say that before I get going. My kind of major talking points. So DDOT is a sponsor of this event. So I just want to welcome everyone on behalf of that. I think that we really value this space, even though it's very challenging to us, as I said, and we appreciate everyone's participation in this. I'm proud to be a part of Mayor Bowser's team right now. We're about to enter a new fiscal year with a major new commitment to Vision Zero in our budget. And I'm just going to go over some of the highlights. We're going to be spending another $10 million for school crossing guards and other traffic safety personnel at schools. We know that's a major priority. We have a new $10 million commitment to Vision Zero hardening, $36 million over the next capital budget on bike safety through dedicated bike facilities, and over $200 million for corridor work. And that's just the highlights. And I think that when you look at the portfolio that we're presenting, we're really putting it all in. And that's kind of what's on paper, but I guess because of the, I know the passion behind this. I just want to share a little bit about why I'm in this field. I'm an urban planner, and when I was in school, I was studying all these things. And then suddenly, about a month after I finished my degree, a friend of mine was killed while biking in Chicago. It was a long time ago, but I know that it's still fresh with me. And I just wanted to share that I think that experience, losing someone in such a sudden and at an early age, I still remember seeing his parents and his grandparents at his funeral. And it was very painful. Of course, also just seeing that all. And I know that a lot of my colleagues have had similar experiences. And that's why we work in this field. And that's why we're committed to it. And that's why we really want to make this a success for everyone in our communities. Sorry. So thanks for having me here today. Again, I'm really happy we were able to make this event possible, and hope everyone takes away a lot from it. And we're able to work together as a community to try and bring these problems to an end. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Linda, for being with us today, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Next up, I'm going to give everyone a brief overview of the Safe System approach, which is our theme for this year's summit. The Safe System approach was founded on the principle that no one should be killed or injured when using the road system. It consists of 5 elements that, together, create a holistic approach with layers of protection for road users: safe road users, safe vehicles, safe speeds, safe roads, and post-crash care. There are 6 principles that form the basis of the Safe System approach. Deaths and serious injuries are unacceptable. Humans make mistakes. Humans are vulnerable. Responsibility is shared. Safety is proactive. And redundancy is crucial. To achieve our zero deaths vision, everyone must accept that fatalities and serious injuries are unacceptable and preventable. Next slide. How does this relate to equity? Safe system design. Design streets and public spaces for people, prioritizing people's safe mobility over the fast movement of cars. Some examples of this include complete streets with protected bike lanes, connected sidewalks, and ample room for people walking, biking, and riding transit, as well as traffic calming and streets designed for lower, safer speeds. Self-enforcing streets. The physical environment people move in is the greatest influence on how they move around. We can design for safer behavior. Less reliance on punitive measures. Effective design solutions can lessen reliance on traffic stops and interactions between road users and police. Safe and equitable streets. The ultimate goal is safe and equitable mobility for all people. Many of our sessions today will either directly or indirectly connect back to the Safe System approach. We're looking forward to sharing them with you today.